Well, good morning. We're back again with Ask Mason, our bi-weekly show that we do, just answering questions that the community has. And we've been off a week or so, haven't we, Derrick?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I was on vacation. That's what it was. That's why we were gone. But anyway, we're back now, and we have a couple questions that we're going to try to answer today. Want to remind everybody that any question that you have, please send to askmason@enid.org, and we will never use your name, but we'll always try to get an answer to those questions as best that we can. And Derrick, what do we have today?
Well, one of the biggest questions out there, there's a lot of questions and concerns about the green polycart program that we have.
Yeah.
The discontinuation of it. Let's talk about that.
Okay. So, green polycarts, one of those topics that I thought we'd mention one time and it'll all be over with, and it just keeps going on, but that's okay. If you back up several years ago, the city decided that there was a need, had been approached, and that there was enough of a need to have some recycling done. And so what we did, we sold these green polycarts that if you would separate your items, the items that could be recycled, that put it in that cart, you would buy the cart for $65, and then we would always come and unload that. And worked well for a while. However, like most projects over time, there just wasn't the need that we thought there was going to be. And when some of that equipment got old and wore out, and we started looking at replacing the equipment to do the recycling, it's going to be well over $1 million. And there's not enough polycarts around that you can sell for $65 to recoup that cost. So what we decided to do, we didn't charge anything for the polycarts for the green ones for, like 2 years, right? I mean, there was no charge. They could put whatever they wanted in there so that the people would recoup their $65. And what we've done now is you get to keep that cart, but we're not going to pick it up unless you give us a call. Then we'll come out and we'll pick that up for, I think it's $4?
Yes.
$4. So if you want to put, and we're encouraging people to put their clippings or grass clippings in that cart, call for $4. We'll come pick that up. We'll take it out to the landfill for you. If you don't want us to pick it up, our citizens have the right to go out there, I think, 12 times a year to drop stuff off, and we don't charge them at all. So we would like to see those grass clippings out there because, as you know, we have Scissor Tail company that's putting in a methane plant that is well underway. They're going to take all that methane gas out of our plant and turn that into natural gas, and then we get paid on that. So that would be great. But going back to polycart, it just was no longer feasible. We just could not continue to do that. Now, if you feel like you need 2 carts, you can order another blue cart for $5.50 a month, and we'll pick it up every single week. Coupled with, if you have 1 cart, you can order the second one for $5.50, which I think is a bargain. I mean, that's just over $1 every week to come pick that second cart up also and empty it. So, I hate that it happened that way, but at some point you have to make a business decision that it no longer works. So those polycarts, the green ones, will be going away. We will not be picking those up.
Unless they call. Unless they call.
Unless they call.
Yeah.
And then it's $4.
Yes.
So,
and I think the reason for that was they were some people may only want to pick up 3 times a year or 4 times a year, and if that's the case, they can keep the green polycart and just call, say, hey, I need it picked up today.
That's right.
That's right. That's this week or whatever, and that's $4. Right. But if another person needs it every month, and more than 1 time a month, 4 times, let's just say every week. Then they just get the blue polycart because now, because of that Scissor Tail Renewables, I think we can put the trash and the grass in the same cart. The blue carts, just put everything in it together because it's for the renewables. So that'll be good. That's going to be a good project too.
That is a good project.
Yes.
They anticipate, first of all, that project's costing us $0 to do. They're coming in, they're going to drill about 52 wells that will go down through our landfill. They capture that methane gas, they purify it, hook onto One Oak, and then sell that natural gas back to them. We think, based on what their projections, we think that's going to be worth about $100,000 a year to the city of Enid. Okay. So, and as you know, when you look at the spreadsheet on our landfill, that is not a moneymaker for the city, despite what people think. And when you look at those spreadsheets, and you and I talked about this the other day, one year it'll look like we made a little money, but ever so often we have to put in those cells to make sure that fluids don't soak out the bottom and get into the groundwater. And that's millions of dollars to do that. So when you factor in that cost, we just try to break even. So an extra $100,000 will help. Will help a lot. Those those trucks that come and empty those containers, those things are almost $400,000 each. Okay. So to keep those up and running, it's a very expensive proposition. So when I say we didn't need another $1 million cost to recycle, that's why. That's why. Just wasn't feasible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Understandable. Well, the spring and summer's about here, so Little League is going to be.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite time of the year. My favorite time. Yeah.
Let's talk about Little League season.
So, probably what I'd want everybody to know is, first of all, try to encourage your child to go out and join one of the teams. They're just now starting to practice, those Little League teams. It is so good for them to get out and practice and meet other kids, and they do not have to be good athletes. One of our grandsons was on a team last year. You know, they weren't even sure which direction to run around the bases, but had a great time. But probably what I would want to encourage everybody to be cautious about are more the parents. You know, there's never a summer goes by but what I don't hear all these stories about problems that we had out the ballpark between parents getting way too wrapped up about T-ball and Little League ball. Keep in mind, this is for the kids, not for the parents. We don't have to live vicariously through our kids, right? Let them go out there, have a fun time without putting a lot of pressure on them. And, you know, parents, just understand this is not about you. It's about letting your child go out there, get some exercise, get some camaraderie going with some other kids, and it doesn't matter if they win or lose. I know that we all think that our sons and daughters are going to be pro athletes sometime, but probably not. Probably not going to happen. And it sure won't happen when they're 4, 5, 6 years old. I'll tell you a story. One of my oldest son played on a team, was a very good athlete. There was another kid that played on that team that was just absolutely marginal at best. I mean, he didn't always get to play, but he always come out, practiced hard. And my point is that he didn't start really getting his ability to be a good athlete until he was like 15, 16, 17 years old. Mm-hmm. If he would have gotten beat down, if people hadn't have been there to encourage him to stay and to play, mm-hmm. that kid wouldn't have gone on like he did. He played for the who was it? The Mariners, I believe. He was a pitcher for the Mariners later on. Okay. But at 10, you would have never thought it. At 16, the kid developed. So let those kids go have fun and enjoy the sport. And then if they develop into a great athlete, great. If they don't, they had a good time, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is more for the parents than the kids. You know, be a good parent out there. Be a good parent.
Good.
Okay?
That's a good story, and it can be inspiring to a young individual that seems like they can't get into it when they're young. But hey, there's possibilities.
When we have, you know, I forgot to even mention, you know, we have trouble getting umpires out there. And so what happens is we have to go into the high school and get some of these young kids that are very young, and they're just umpiring a game of t-ball, and then 2 parents get upset or 2 coaches get upset, and that's hard for a kid that's 15 years old to try to get between 2 grown men, right? And what happens is they just stop umpiring. So it creates more of a vicious circle because then we have fewer umpires. So, this is a good learning experience for everyone. Parents, sit up in the stands, root for your kids, root for the other team too. Yeah. Does not matter. Everybody's going to get a trophy. Everybody's going to get a medal at the end of the season. So, yeah.
I had one more question. Well, there's been a lot of questions about code issues in the community.
Oh, okay.
I guess maybe explain that there is a process. So many people may not know there's an actual process to our coding.
There is. There is a process. And I will say, first of all, we have a good code department, well-staffed. And it is hard in code to specialize in so many different areas. But they do it, and they do it well. But when we get a call, or say I get a call, I don't try to go out and look at anything because I don't know what all the codes are. But what I do, I pick up the phone, I call the city manager, Gerald Gilbert, and then Gerald contacts the code department and tells them what it is. Then eventually, within a week or so, the person that specializes in one of those areas that they called on will go out and look at that. Now, we have a process. So they can't go out there and say, hey, I'm pulling your meter or I'm shutting you down. That's not how that works. We give our citizens time to try to correct all those problems, whatever it happens to be. So when someone calls in, says, hey, there's something that's going on that we don't think's right, we get code enforcement out there. They look at it. If there is truly a violation, they will let that person know. And then it may take 30 to 90 days to get that corrected. Eventually they will. They will. But it is a process. It just doesn't happen overnight. And I know people are impatient sometimes. So am I. But at the end of the day, we want to give everybody a chance to fix whatever needs to be fixed and get it back in code. They keep in mind our code enforcement does that for all of our safety, right? For the people that are living there and you go, well, it's my house. I want to do it that way. Well, you may not live there forever. So the next person that comes along, we need it safe for them also. Or if that house catches fire and it burns down 2 other houses in the neighborhood, so we're thinking about a bigger picture than just one person's property. It's how it affects all of us because we live in a community together. Yeah. So.
And I guess that is fair, too, to give a person a chance because sometimes it can just be something simple that they can correct in 30 days or whatever. You have to give them a chance. So.
And especially like one that we get a lot are when they're doing some kind of a building project. In Oklahoma, we have a lot of wind. And that trash will blow across into other people's yards. So they'll call and want code to go out there, and code will do that. But if you're the property owner, keep your trash picked up. It's not that hard. Just little things that will help. Just build a little square box out of plywood and throw all that trash in there while you're under construction till you're ready to haul it off. So just small things like that really help.
Or they can always rent
Or they can, that's right, rent another blue polycart.
Or one of those big, I forgot you call it.
Oh, roll-off.
Yeah, the roll-offs.
That's right. That's right. We have those, don't we?
Yes, we
the
do.
city does?
Yes.
Yeah, thought we did. So, yeah. And those are pretty inexpensive also if you have a lot of trash coming up. Yes. So just small things you can do to help make our community better. And but know that code's always looking out for everything. And, we're going to make it right, but it doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. It doesn't happen.
So those are the 3 I had.
Okay. Well, I hope that helped. And don't ever hesitate to send in those questions. You may think it's petty or it's small or it doesn't really apply. I promise you there are tons of other people out there that are having the same issue or thinking the same question. So don't hesitate to do that. We want to be transparent. We want you to know what's going on in the community. And so send in those questions. AskMason@enid.org. Thank you so much for being here today. Derrick, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see you in a couple weeks.